Hello, Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. The month of June 2024 will feel like a bit of a blessed relief because you've been through so much intensity in the last 2 months with the eclipse in the sign of Aries, with the North Node and Chiron, with the transit of Mercury and Mars through Aries. Finally, the game of you being on with everything happening to and about you is finally calming down. So you're going to look at the month of June, first of all, as a much more less intense, more peaceful, more simple, and more good. Very good, positive things are happening for you, especially if it comes and when it comes to travel. So we're going to go break the month down ahead as you see. Little bit by little bit, I'll give you each of the days plus the general transits of the planets, the big changes of signs. What is happening for you in this month ahead? I do not cover the new and full moons because I do a whole long form videos on those on YouTube in greater depth, and we don't want to repeat the same thing here. But what I do is break down the month step by step. First of all, listen for your sun sign. If you're listening for your career and purpose, maybe you could consider the sun your soul. Moon sign can be about your mother, your nest, your home, your safety needs. Just as the sun, by the way, can be about your father and father figures. And yet the rising sign or the ascending degree or ascending sign is all about you. So your rising sign may be more accurate, but certainly try all three and let me know in the comments how you find these different ways of listening. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac and whole sign houses, as well as fixed stars and minor asteroids, depending on what topic we're covering. We'll have a bit of those on all my videos every month. And I put 30 or so videos out a month. And if you like a lot of content, which is all signs content, then please give me a try, hit the like button and subscribe. If you're a regular, welcome back. All right, so guys, let's talk about this because I've got I'm like you, right? I've got my I got my sun and my moon in the sign of Aries. So I really relate to all of this Aries energy that we've been through throughout the month of March and into April and May. It's been like really intense. And that's because, of course, North Node, Chiron, eventually eclipses the eclipse. I just feel like I've been through the ringer. Hope you guys are surviving. Now, what we have is the most important thing of the month for all of us Aries people is that we're having the movement of Mars out of the sign of Aries. And that's important because he has been extremely intense in the sign of Aries because his presence as the one who takes action and decides and gets things done and moves forward has been inflamed or increased or intensified by the presence of the North Node of the moon or the node of fate, as well, of course, as Chiron sitting here. And there was Mercury moving through Aries for a long time as well, for 2 whole months. So it will feel to most of us like a relief. And Mercury will be leaving out of the sign of Aries. Will have left the sign of Aries, and now Mars is also leaving. One thing I want to say about this is that, well, we may have felt a lot of intensity. We're also in the past, we also may have felt under a lot of pressure, and there may have been a sense of having to take bold and sudden and exciting action, but also a lot of pressure to be the one who's on the ball for making decisions, taking actions, being willing to make difficult or hard decisions. So all that energy of Mars in the sign of Aries is finally complete. And on June the 9th, Mars will move into the sign of Taurus. Now, the sign of Taurus is the sign of the bull and it belongs to Venus. And this is not Mars's strongest place. And every 2 years, he moves through our second house of earnings, savings, money, resources, financial resources, foods that we eat. One thing Mars can do here is help us cut out the bad food, the bad vape, the bad wine, the bad beer, whatever you're doing, whatever the thing is, the bad gluten, the bad ice cream, the things that you don't want to ingest. Mars can help cut and sever, restrict and eliminate your food style. Yay, that's going to be great June the 9th onward. Also, Mars here can be really good for dental work and getting like a cavity filled or anything that requires some kind of facial procedure that involves lasers or cutting objects can be somewhat successful when Mars is in the house of the face, the second house. But also, he's not in his strongest condition. He is in the kingdom of Venus, and she's the goddess of what brings us pleasure, and he will spend money. So be a little more careful than on June the 9th through to the 21st of July, because often Mars here is a spender and money will just go through the pockets easily and quickly. Sure, he can be a self-starter and very entrepreneurial here as well, especially if that's your natal position. But during a transit, it may feel like you are also, spending money. A lot of energy is going here, a lot of actions in a money house. The other thing I might want to mention about this, I told you that, he is in Venus's house, and therefore he is sort of not comfortable. He's in the harem tent, even though he's a warrior. But I want to give you a clue about this, because Venus is going to flow to Mars at the end of June, at the tail end, like the 26th to the 30th. She'll be moving through the sign of Cancer and looking back over her shoulder, and they're having a little sexy, sweet, nothing conversation of love and ease and glow. So there is an exception to what I just said about spending too much money or having some really financial challenges. The exception is the end of June looks really good, really positive for you, especially regarding money and home matters. So we'll get more to that later. Now, also Venus herself, as you know, is moving through the sky, and she will have moved into the sign of Gemini as we begin the month of June. She lands her sweet little bum in the sign of Gemini, which is our house of travel, short distance travel, younger siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews can be here. Can also have extended family, extended, neighborhood, neighbors, but also skills-based learning and also writing projects or creative projects and social media stuff. Now she comes through here, but on once a year, right? So it's not a rare event, but as she moves through the sign of Gemini, she's also going to do a very important thing, and it's called a Venus star point. I'm going to cover that as we break the month down. So this makes this a very special transit of Venus, where she's going to conjoin with the sun here and reset us for a new 4-year cycle of good, pleasurable things in the third house. But very simply, you may spend more social time in the neighborhood with your friends. You might have a little pop in your social media life between May the 24th and June the 16th. And it does bring pleasure and fun and enjoyment in short distance travel. I will be doing the El Camino at that time. So it really is, for my Aries sun and moon, a pleasurable time with women traveling on the El Camino. Anything else I'd say about that? Then, nope, that's good for now. And then she moves on June the 17th into the sign of Cancer. And that's our fourth house. And the fourth house is our home and our nest and our mother and our childhood stuff and things we do in our privacy and domestic life. And when Venus comes into Cancer, she's still all about pleasure and fun and joy, but now she's in a very motherly, nesty way. And often we find ourselves, when Venus moves through here in Cancer for Aries, we have a strong urge to nest. You know what I mean? Clean up, organize, puff and beautify and nest in the house. It's going to be a very nesty feeling. Female may come to visit you and spend some time in your home as well. What are the dates again? June the 17th to July the 11th. And it's like deciding that comfort and joy will come from being quiet, being in your home, being out of the public eye, that kind of thing. Certainly I can relate, because I'll be coming back from the El Camino then and wanting to re-nest in the word home. Now, it is about childhood, and so some of your childhood stuff can come up. I'll be staying in my childhood home, so it's that literal for me. I have to visit my sister who still lives there. Now, the other last fast-moving planet here is Mercury, and Mercury's busy, busy, busy. He's moving very quickly, okay? He's moved out of a very slow retrogradation cycle of 2 months in Aries, a couple way back there. So now he's whipping his ass through Gemini. So he is finishing up his journey through Taurus, and on June 3rd, he enters into the sign of Gemini. Yes, we just talked about it. That's your travel, short distance travel, social events, and communication. So now we're going to see that both Mercury and Venus are in the sign of Gemini for quite a bit of time, co-present together, and that will be until really about the time Venus exits. So from June 3rd to June 16th, we do see a lot of sociability in your life with your neighbors, neighborhood, siblings, friendship groups, trips, travel, and journeys, writing projects, and a nice boost in your online presence if you do social media. Mercury is a curious George, and you might want to take a course or learn something that gives you joy and pleasure. As Mercury will be here, as I said, June 3rd, Venus is here with him. And from June 3rd to the 17th, it's not too bad to sign up for a course. It's a skills-based kind of lesson course where you want to, learn to do something and you would enjoy it, right? Venus, it could be very artistic, creative. Certainly with Venus and Mercury in his home kingdom of Gemini, it might be something to do with the word writing. And then finally, on June the 18th, through to July the 3rd, Mercury will move into the fourth house, which is Cancer. You'll notice that everything's happening in houses 2 and 3. I mean, for you. So it's a very houses 2, earnings and resources, 3, travel, friends and all that stuff. So you got 2 hot spots in the sky. With this energy of Mercury in the fourth house, if you want to buy a property or purchase a property or sell a property, this is a good time for deal making. And Venus being in this part of the sky as well after June the 17th means that from the last 2 weeks of June, you're going to have both Mercury and Venus in the fourth house. I mean, Mercury leaves the fourth house on July the 3rd, so June 18th to July the 3rd, he's in that fourth house. And Venus is there as well, June 17th to July 11th. So all of that last 2 weeks of June and the first week of July, it's really good for real estate purchases, sales, and all of that kind of stuff, wheeling and dealing, negotiating to sell or buy property. And it's especially positive for new rental contracts and agreements as well, because we will have Juno traveling through your 6th house of rental. So keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be a purchase necessarily. Some of you might also want to purchase a pet, a contract with a breeder for a pet or something like that during this transit. All right, so those are the planetary transits that I've just covered. Jupiter, of course, is in Gemini. I covered that in my videos all over my channel. That's an important change, Jupiter in Gemini on May the 25th, and he's still moving through Gemini. And so you can see that there's a party here. You're going to have Jupiter, Mercury, the Sun, and Venus all hanging out in Gemini. It's a big deal. It's like your 3rd house is the hot seat of the sky during the month of June. Now let's break up the sky bit by bit and see how we do. And by the way, if you want this kind of content, early access, ad-free, you can come to my Patreon community. They get this content, for the mere $5 a month, no ads, early access. I'm recording on May the 7th. I think you guys are going to get this like May the 20th or something. That's how soon they get this material. So you might want to jump aboard and give it a try. And of course, other tiers, you have Zoom meetings with me. I teach classes. You get discounts on my courses. There's a bunch of perks to becoming a patron on the Patreon platform. And the link to my Patreon is in the description box below. Okay, so let's go into the details here for you guys. First of all, let's make a story up here, if you don't mind, of the beginning of the month. Okay, I'm saying this for all signs. The beginning of the month is a hot spot. June the 1st to the 7th, we have a lot going on, and it is mostly positive. Indeed, it's all positive. First of all, we have Venus in her star point on the 4th of June, but she is tracking in what we would call a close proximity or conjunction to the Sun from June the 1st to June the 7th. So some of that time she's under the beams, she's deeply invisible, she's burning up, all of that. On the 4th of June, however, she will meet the Sun, go into the heart of the Sun, and be born again into her evening star story. And this is going to bless you over the next 9.5 months and also over the next 4 years with new developments that are positive to do with siblings, younger siblings, neighbors, neighborhood, writing projects, travel, creativity, and skills-based learning, and in your daily life of your neighborhood, neighbors, and your everyday daily life routines and things you do. It's kind of like your fishbowl in which you swim has uber blessings coming through. With Venus not being visible until mid to early July, depending on your latitude, then you're going to not really necessarily see what I'm talking about. So don't expect everything to happen on June the 4th. This is her planting a seed, and when she becomes visible and we can see her in the sky, then we may begin to see what the seed is going to give us. So keep that in mind. Now, Venus is also as she goes into the heart of the sun, has two midwives in attendance. So she's got Jupiter and she's got Mercury. Why do we want Mercury there? Because Mercury is in his home kingdom. So there is a new birth of Venus while Mercury, the landlord or the homeowner, is sitting right beside the whole event. So it's attended by Mercury, giving it a very positive spin over the next 10 months for elements to do with writing, communicating, selling and marketing from third house, social media, online. But it's really good for also the idea of learning or teaching something that is a skill. And you can have a lot of blessings here. You know, the other part of the story is Jupiter and Mercury together, will be together touching each other as well during the June 1st to 7th timeframe while they both trine Pluto. So this is so exciting for me because, first of all, Pluto and Jupiter are a kind of a wealth energy together, right? It's very intense, positive, and bountiful, excessively potent stuff. And so for me, seeing the Jupiter-Pluto story, with Pluto in your house of benefactors, allies, and social circles and friends, your 11th house, and your great gains from your career, you may come into some very auspicious developments around June the 4th, where a potential it can be an elder sibling. It can be somebody who treats you like you're the younger sibling, who's your ally here, is going to give you some strong favors or strong support in something you're up to. Or you could have a big pop in your career gains through things that you're doing in the third house, which would be social media, online stuff, marketing, selling. And there may be this nice boost of success for everybody here. If you're wanting to apply for a school, you might get a friend from a favor, like a recommendation, get into a college or a skills-based learning center. It's just very nice, guys. It just feels really good. And maybe you'll also be extremely blessed by siblings favoring you as well around June the 4th and good things happening around and about your sibling storylines. Alrighty. On June the 12th, you will see Mars squaring Pluto. Now, Mars squaring Pluto is our difficult aspect. One of them, we have a couple this month. Mars and Pluto are very, very dangerous together. Mars would be your shooter and Pluto would be your death, right? Like we all know the vibe. Bomb, shooter, violence, aggression, conflict, death, mayhem, chaos for the world. But of course, you're not going to have that in your life. So what are you going to have instead? A struggle of wills, perhaps, a battle for power, a conflict with somebody who has an urge to dominate, control, or Plutonian lord over you like a dictator. If there is a conflict, though, it can also be about money, because where Mars is going to come into that square to Pluto is from your second house of earnings. Remember, I told you savings, earnings, resources. This is where he's not his best. And there can be a financial disagreement or conflict or explosive moment sometime around June 10th to 12th, and it may involve a friend or an elder sibling, 11th house type people, or some kind of conflict over some kind of career gain. So it's a financial battle, if you ask me. As we move forward on June the 14th, Mercury will go into the heart of the sun. That's called a kazimi, and he will be renewing himself and being born again as well. He's in what we call his superior conjunction. He's not going retrograde. He crosses the face of the sun from behind the sun on our vantage point at Earth. And this is going to be a fleeting moment, but it's still a kazimi and it's one of 6 a year and it's utterly magical. Harness the June 14th kazimi at 23 degrees of Gemini, where you have Venus sitting by at 26 degrees of Gemini, making this a very positive, very blessed rebirth of Mercury. Downloads, ideas, ahas. Now, this is your third house, writing ideas. This is a great kazimi to send out a really important email, submit a book proposal to an agent or to a publisher, to launch a new website, to launch a new course online that you're teaching, to sign up for a new course, to apply for a new course, to book a trip, plan a trip, pay for the tickets on a trip. You can bake in some really exciting, positive energy by using that kazimi of June the 14th, when Mercury and the Sun are together at 23 degrees of Gemini. I always do webinars on this. I'll probably still do one. I'll just be coming back from the Camino, and they're free. So I'll put a free Mercury kazimi link for the webinar in my description box, and then come join me. We do magical things on the webinar, including a guided meditation, bringing in minor asteroids and stars. I think you'll have a lot of fun. Aries, you're the least likely to listen to these videos. You go back and look at all my videos on YouTube, you'll see people watching say 15,000 views on last month's video for say Cancer or something, and you guys will have 7. Aries just don't like to listen to these videos for some reason. So it kind of makes me laugh because I'm one of you and I love this stuff. All righty. June the 16th to the 18th, Mercury will be conjunct Venus at 28 degrees of Gemini. So June 16th to the 18th, that is good news, basically, good information. It's a blessed, positive energy for social engagements, friendships, and having fun in the local environment, or a blessed opportunity for travel. And Mercury is a travel protector of travelers. So travel opportunities, friendships, blessings, journeys, all super sweet, June 16th to the 18th. And then we also have during this June 16th to the 18th window of time, we also have Venus in a square or a challenging relationship to Neptune. And that could be a little bit of a place where you really have your rose-colored glasses on when it comes to money and love stories. And so be a little bit more careful. Promises, 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 especially if it comes from a friend or somebody you meet on a trip or something to do with the online world. And you feel like, maybe you don't see everything clearly. Maybe there's a big promise with some kind of deceit or manipulation underneath it. So don't believe your eyes or ears so readily, because you might have a full-on, Venusian moment, which is to say you fall madly in love with a proposal, a business opportunity, or a person, and you really don't know what you're getting. Okay, that square can be quite tricky. All right. And on June the 20th to the 21st, we see the sun, and the sun will be squaring Neptune, just like Venus did earlier on the 16th to the 18th. So with the sun following up, the sun shines the light of our awareness on the problem or the situation. And that would be a better time to wait to make any decisions around money or love stories. Wait till the sun squares Neptune, and you can have more of a clarity and a clear light of understanding about what the heck is really going on here, because Neptune is in your 12th house, and that's your house of foreign shores and lands, but also revenue generated from far off foreign shores and lands. So I don't like this for things because Mercury's there too, squaring Neptune, identity theft, fraud, that kind of stuff. You just want to be very, very careful around those matters, because Mercury will come into that Neptune square at the very end of the month. And that is kind of dicey, to say the least. That would be probably closer to the first few days of July. So all said and done, especially if you're traveling, or especially if you're in the online world, just be careful for fraud, identity theft, things like that. Now, moving into the next story, we see that on June 26th to the 30th, Mercury will trine a flowing energy, Saturn, and Saturn is in the sign of Pisces since last March. Pisces happens to be your 12th house, hospitals, prisons, the underprivileged, the underserved, your self-undoing, self-sabotage habits, patterns, and addictions. I would even say that, by the way, when Venus is squaring Neptune, you could have a highly overdosed moment. So be careful around overdosing on pleasurable addictive substances during the June 16th to the 18th window. But then we see, okay, back to what I was talking about. June 26th to the 30th, now we have Mercury in a very positive conversation from the sign of Cancer, 4th house of home, property, and real estate, to the 12th house. Sometimes we have expenditures and we spend money in the 12th house. So there can be a bit of commerce or commercial activity, but it's solid and it's steady. And you may, again, from this kind of angle, be conversing with someone in a far off land, and it's very powerful, important conversations, but you may also be engaged in something that requires you to look at financial matters regarding home and property, contracts and legal agreements, and maybe the potential for, again, things that have to do with buying or selling real estate, which I mentioned might be very possible with both Venus and Mercury in Cancer during June 3rd through to the 17th. No, June 18th to July 3rd. June 18th to July 3rd. All right. And even though I just said, oh, isn't this wonderful for buying and selling property? And it is. And it is. Also, just be careful for that square that Mercury will make to Neptune. And that will be, I'm going to give you the date of the Mercury square Neptune. Okay. I mean, I should have had that cued for myself, because that would be also, don't make a deal without having someone read the fine print, because it's a little dicey when there is a square from Mercury to Neptune, Venus to Neptune. Everybody's doing the dance. Mercury will square Neptune on June the 17th. Again, it's a little bit iffy. Finally, let's get the whole story completed. So buying and selling real estate, sure. Make sure you're not being swindled. Make sure what you see is what you get. Make sure the person selling you the house actually owns the house, or things like that, especially as we move towards, as I said, June the 17th, 18th. But June 26th to 30th, I love the flow between Mercury and the sign and the planet Saturn. And that flow would be not something to worry about. So it would be more of a, it's probably good to go. It's probably like you can actually see what you need to see to make solid investment, commercial decisions, etc. Now, you may experience this also as somebody that you know who's an elder giving you advice, or being in the hospital, and but yet there's a positive communication going on at the time, an elder in your family, between June 26th and 30th. And finally, on the same time frame as all June 26th to the 30th, Venus sextiles Mars and Mercury sextiles Uranus. This is a nice story. Venus and sextiling Mars is the cosmic lovers in a harmonious flow at the end of this month. And that would be a nice time for a romantic engagement with somebody, because it would be very cozy, very loving, very nurturing, a nice way to meet somebody under this influence. Venus in the house of your home, Mars in the house of speech. Now, it can also be very much about buying something for your home that's beautiful. And many of you might make a purchase for your home, or purchase a home, or purchase an automobile even. Those are all possibilities during that window of blessed time on June 26th to the 30th. And Mercury is sextiling Uranus for shocks and surprises, but that are positive. And that's also from home, property, real estate, and the house of money. So there's some positive, blessed, surprising things happening, probably around the ability to purchase something connected to home and home life, right? Or buy something like a car or a home. So keep that in mind. That's not for everybody, of course. These stories are general bell curve astrology. It's not everybody who's going to get everything happening. Okay. Thanks for listening, guys. If you like this kind of content, I put out all these all signs videos every month for you. And so if you want to jump aboard my train of subscribers, I just grabbed almost 6,000 subscribers last month. I've never had that many subscribers in a single month. I was like, what the hell is going on? But usually it was 3,000 or so. But if you want to jump aboard and be a part of the party here, please do. And I wish you all the very best. I'm recording on May 7th for my Patreon community. If you catch wind of this, I'm still giving away contests all of the month of May. Sign up for my Cosmic Moonshine newsletter, and I'm giving away every Sunday during the month of May free prizes, free readings, free courses with me, a bunch of stuff like that. And you have to be in the new Cosmic Moonshine newsletter to win. All right. Okay. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful month of May.